Boys, the UFC have such a prime opportunity to make 2025 not just the best, but the most stacked year of the company's history, in my opinion. And in this video, I'm going to go through every single division, and not only am I going to be matchmaking some very, possible, it's not like out of the realm of possibility that this shit can't get matched up, but I'm going to do some matchmaking every single division, who should be fighting who, what big names do we need to see in each division. There's going to be some champions, there's going to be some top 15 guys, there's going to be some guys outside the top 15, but the key word is all of these guys could be fighting who I've matched them up with. It's not like I'm giving, a unranked guy a title shot. I'm not doing that. But all these guys I have listed, it's realistic to make these matchups in 2025. I'm not saying they have to be their next opponent, but 2025, this shit needs to happen, Let's do the title picture. We got Alexandre Pantoja. I don't want to see Kara France. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I don't want to see it. Give him Manel Kape, Manel Kape, I still don't think he beats Alexandre Pantoja, but if we're going to give Pantoja a guy to fight in the bantamweight division, might as well be someone like a Manel Kape who will promote the shit out of this fight. So right now, we really don't have like a clear number one contender who hasn't fought Pantoja before. We do have some prospects on the rise, but as of right now, there's going to be a shit ton of rematches. I think for now, we do Manel Kape. I don't really need to see Pantoja fight a lot this year, especially if it's going to be a lot of rematches. We can do the Max Holloway treatment or even the Robert Whittaker treatment where they need to be on a stupid win streak with good names to get a rematch with Pantoja. With that being said, that's the title picture. There's really not many other big fights that I think realistically could happen in 2025, at least not that I really care about, but one of them that I do want, that I do think will be big, that I do care about, Joshua Van, currently unranked. I want to see him enter into the rankings. I matched him up with some other guy before when he fought last. I think a sneaky fun fight would be Joshua Van, Bruno Silva. You're telling me this wouldn't be a fun matchup? Not only is it going to be, I think this is a very competitive matchup. And again, I want to see Joshua Van get into the rankings. If he beats Bruno Silva, good, we can move him up. If Bruno Silva beats Joshua Van, we can move him up. We need fresh guys for a Pantoja. I want to see this one next. And I think I'd rather this than I originally had Joshua Van versus Tim Elliott. I don't really care to see that. I think this would be a really big fight in that flyweight division. Let's move down. Bantamweight division, title picture. We're getting Sean O'Malley versus Merab. We just need to see it. As Dana White says, everyone wants to see this so bad. But at the end of the day, it's going to happen. It'll be stupid of me not to put this here because it's just simply going to happen. With that being said, I think this would be a fun matchup. I do see Sean O'Malley being less hesitant in this fight, possibly knocking out Merab, but a way different game plan than Sean O'Malley had in his first fight. With that being said, I think the big fight in bantamweight title picture-wise is going to be Pantoja stepping up to get double champ status versus the winner of Merab versus Sean O'Malley. It's either of them can be the next matchup. I don't really care. Sean O'Malley low-key has some beef with Pantoja, with the whole training room incident. That could be fun. Regardless, I think this should be next. Give Pantoja the opportunity to be a double champ. Why not? In the top 15, a lot of great matchups have already been finalized, so I don't have many guys in the top 15 here because, like I said, a lot of shit has already been booked. However, two dudes who haven't been booked, who I think should be next, winner of that fight can go for a title shot. I think we see Umar Nurmagomedov versus Petr Yan. Run this one next. But yeah, winner of this, they move on. Loser can fight the loser of the first title shot that I made of Sean O'Malley Merab, something like that. And that being said, let's move down to featherweight. Featherweight, this one is a non-title shot right now because we are having the vacant title up for grabs, but in the meantime, a fight that I've been wanting for so long that just hasn't happened yet. Aljamain Sterling, Brian Ortega. Why hasn't this been made? This should have been Aljamain Sterling's first fight in featherweight. Don't understand why it hasn't been made. Make this one next. This is the biggest fight you can make for both of these guys. And again, they're right there in the rankings beside each other. It's not outside the realms of possibility for this to be the next matchup for both of these dudes. I want to see this. I know a lot of other guys want to see this, and I just don't understand how this matchup hasn't been made yet. Moving down, some of these guys I'm going to have I'm going to predict that they're going to win their next fight. So Gene Silva, I'm predicting he's going to win over Bryce Mitchell. I think we see him get closer to the top 5, top 10 spot. And I think a sneaky fun matchup in this featherweight division would be Gene Silva versus Arnold Allen. If he gets past Bryce Mitchell, they're right there next to each other in the rankings. And I could see Gene Silva fighting again after Bryce Mitchell in 2025. It's not outside the realm of possibility. This guy's one of the biggest names in featherweight right now. I think he's going to be fairly active. And because of all the eyeballs that this dude has on him, I guarantee his contract is looking pretty juicy right now, especially if he gets past Bryce Mitchell. But yeah, run this shit next. I think this would be, again, a crazy matchup in this division. And just look at it on screen. Does this not already look like it's a finalized bout? It just looks too perfect. You know, I guarantee this is going to happen next if he gets past Bryce Mitchell. And then, I've been saying it ever since it got announced, the belt is going back. My boy is getting the belt. Look at this picture. Does this picture just not give you goosebumps? You know, it just makes you feel so young, so happy again. All the problems of the outside world disappear. Just look, this looks right. With that being said, I think one of the biggest title fights we could have, if both of these guys get past their next fight, they're fighting on the same card. They low-key have some like beef, or is it just competitiveness? Regardless, I want to see Volkanovski taking on Pitbull. I'm picking Pitbull to get past Yair. I think Yair is pretty washed at this point. And yeah, this would be a big fight. I want to see this one next. I think this would be one of the bigger title fights. Probably the biggest title fight you can make now. What would you rather? Would you rather Alexandre Volkanovski versus Pitbull for the belt, or Volkanovski versus fucking Mozar Evloev? Let's be realistic. With that being said, let's get into the lightweight division. Lightweight, I have a few more guys here. Title picture, of course. The biggest fight we want in lightweight is going to be Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Tell Makhachev, stop ducking Topuria. It doesn't matter. Like, I get Makhachev's his reasons for not wanting to fight Ilia. I think it has to do with his legacy. This dude, let's look at his legacy right now, and you'll understand why he doesn't want to fight a former featherweight champion. Even before his fight for the belt, let's see, before his belt, he fought Dan Hooker. I'm pretty sure Dan Hooker was a former featherweight. Bobby Green, same thing. I'm pretty sure this dude was a former featherweight. Charles Oliveira, a good fight, but again, former featherweight. Volkanovski, featherweight, and then the rematch. Like, hey, Charles Oliveira, Volkanovski, those are great wins, regardless of if they were featherweights or not. Those are amazing wins. The second Volkanovski fight, you know, a lot of people have some salt towards that one, including myself. It's not the greatest win in hindsight. Dustin Poirier, former featherweight, and, you know, it took him 5 rounds to get him out of there. It is what it is. It's not the best win. It's not the worst win. It's a win. Mike Conno, also former featherweight, but it was a first-round submission in the first few minutes of the fight, you know. With that being said, I could see why Islam doesn't want to add any more either former featherweights or featherweights in general on his resume, but to be honest, if he gets Ilia Topuria, that would be, I think, personally, the best win he has on his entire resume, regardless of this, if this dude is a former featherweight or not. I think that would be the best win on his entire resume. Yes, better than Volkanovski, better than Charles Oliveira, and my thinking is Ilia Topuria knocked both Volkanovski and Max Holloway out. His resume is already one of the better ones, and yeah, just run this one next. This is all I ask for. Make this one next. Moving down, a lot of people are matching these guys up differently. I think this is how lightweight should get matched up. Max Holloway, I want to see him come back versus Charles Oliveira. This makes so much sense for a, you know, number one contender type of fight. There's going to be a few number one contender type of fights here, but it makes sense. It makes sense to have these guys fight each other for the rematch. Both these dudes fought when they were hella young, when they were back in featherweight. I want to see this one next. I don't want to see the BMF belt on the line. I just want to see this ran for a 5-rounder, to be honest. Co-main event, 5-rounder. Put this on a pay-per-view. Moving down, there's a lot of talk of what we should do for Dustin Poirier and his retirement fight. I think there is only one option. Is it the most realistic? Not really, but it's not out of the realms of impossibility. I've seen on Twitter, I've seen on Instagram, this dude is yapping saying he wants to come back to the UFC. You're telling me the best and arguably biggest fight outside of like a Conor McGregor fight for Dustin Poirier wouldn't be Nate Diaz? This fight has been scheduled many times, never made its way, always got canceled, but this would be a great retirement fight. I think this would be, if you gave this fight to Dustin Poirier, he's signing that contract as soon as he can. He's signing that shit in seconds. If you give it to Nate Diaz, the thing is, you need to give Nate Diaz like a 1-fight contract. It's not impossible, but it's going to be very hard to do so. I think this would be the best retirement fight for Dustin Poirier, to be honest. Let's move down. Arman Tsarukyan. What do you do with Arman? There's two dudes here yapping that they want the next title shot, and that's Arman and Justin Gaethje. Match these guys up next to each other. Winner gets the next title shot. We can do Ilia versus Makhachev on the same card. Justin Gaethje, Arman Tsarukyan. The winner of that fight could get the winner of Ilia and Makhachev. Then a few months down the line, we can do Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway. The winner of that can get the winner of, of those two fights that I just broke down. And yeah, it's easy matchmaking, and it makes sense. Let's go down Beneil Dariush. I hate to do it to you, my boy, but you're going to have to get Mauricio Rufy. I didn't want to do this. I didn't think the UFC would do this, but it's kind of making sense that the UFC would give Beneil Dariush Mauricio Rufy. I'm not going to lie. And again, stacked cards. There's some other dudes that are already matched up right now, like Paddy Pimblett, Michael Chandler. I don't have them here. Honestly, I would be surprised. It's just too much overthinking of, if they win, who should I match them with? Like, there's no certainty in those ones. So I just don't have them here. With that being said, let's go down to welterweight. Welterweight, I'm thinking a little bit of ahead of time because I do think the title picture, I do think Belal Muhammad beats JDM. I feel like I'm like one of the very few people that actually think this, but I don't see a lot of people beating Belal Muhammad. And the one guy that after JDM is done, we give him Shavkat. I don't see Belal fighting after that. I see him fighting JDM, Shavkat. That's it for 2025. And maybe this is too much. Regardless, I think it's either Belal, JDM. They can fight Shavkat unless they do JDM versus Makhachev. There's a lot of things that are still moving, but I'm looking ahead of time. This is what I have. Then, for non-title picture stuff, Joaquin Buckley. Get Buckley in there with Usman already. Again, this would be a huge fight once announced. Usman been out for a few years now. Put these two together on a... Do I want it to be a co-main? I don't think I want a co-main. Featured fight on a pay-per-view. Run that on a featured fight of the pay-per-view. You're telling me this wouldn't be one of the biggest fights we can make in the welterweight division right now? I think it is. Moving down as well, Leon Edwards, even if he gets past Sean Brady, which I do think he's going to, I don't think he's getting any favorable matchups. I don't think he's getting any, you're getting the winner of the title shot. I don't think his title shot's coming anytime soon. That being said, I know the UFC wants this guy to be in there for a title picture. They're probably going to reward him for stepping up on short notice the last fight. Leon Edwards, Ian Gary. Run this one next. Again, these guys low-key have a little bit of beef together. It could make for some good press conference moments. This is easy matchmaking. Run this shit next. Carlos Prates. We need to see Carlos Prates bump up into the rankings. There's a lot of these fighting nerds guys that we need to see up in the rankings. The next logical matchup is Jeff Neal. Is this the most hyped up match in the world? No. But I think it's a necessary jump up that we need to see, especially for Carlos Prates. Moving down. MVP. What the fuck do we do with MVP? A fight that we should have done a long ass time ago. MVP Stephen Thompson. You can mark this as the two best strikers in the division finally fighting each other. You're telling me again this wouldn't be a huge announcement if the UFC dropped this today. Put this on a MSG card, something like that. I want to see this. Then Bryan Battle. It's time we get Bryan Battle into the rankings. I matched up his opponent already, but fuck it. Give Bryan Battle Vicente Luque instead. Again, big names. Big jump up in competition for Bryan Battle, but Vicente Luque hasn't been looking the greatest as of recently. With that being said, you're telling me if the UFC don't announce these fights, it wouldn't be huge? Moving down, middleweight division. I'm going to try to speed run the rest of this because we are getting pretty, this is a pretty lengthy video, but we have DDP. Obviously, DDP, Chimaev, I want to see that one next. They haven't announced this one, so I don't think it's official anytime soon. I could be wrong, but even if it does happen, I don't know if the winner fights again in 2025, which is sad. I hope they do, but I don't have the winner fighting again this year. Moving down, Anthony Hernandez, jump up in the rankings. Give him Paulo Costa. This would be a sneaky fun match. You could have this as a main event of a Apex card, As much as I hate the Apex, you could do something like this. And this is a huge fight, especially for Hernandez and especially for Paulo Costa. See if he's still top, what is he, top 7 in the world? Like, if he's still in the top rankings. If not, his ass is getting bumped down a lot. Might even just ship his ass to the GFL for the Romero rematch. But moving down, another fighting nerds, Caio Borralho. I think we do a number 1 contender matchup, Caio Borralho versus Imavov. You can put this either on the same card as Chimaev DDP or a few months down the line. The winner of this can be next up for the winner of Chimaev versus DDP. Again, you're just thinking ahead of time for future matchups. I think this would be fun. This Borralho, honestly, in my opinion, Borralho out of everybody in the division deserves a number 1 contender matchup. Then we have Israel Adesanya. I don't like pointless rematches, but in this scenario, this is the only fight I think Izzy would accept. Izzy versus Sean Strickland. I could see this being, again, an MSG card or the last pay-per-view of the year type of fight card. I could see something like that. The winner, if they get past each other, is right there for a title eliminator, especially Izzy. If Izzy gets past Sean Strickland, they'll probably just give him like Chimaev, something stupid like that. But moving down, Robert Whittaker. What do we do with Robert Whittaker? When I was making this video, I was thinking there's so many possibilities, but looking at it realistically, there's not many. And some guy just called him out last weekend. I thought it was a retarded call out, but it makes sense now. Roman Dolidze. I think Robert Whittaker gets past Roman Dolidze fairly easy, but run this one next. We need big names. These are big name matchups, and just look at it. You're just telling me that this doesn't look like it's already a finalized bout. It looks too good on paper. Run this one next. Then Marvin Vettori. What do we do with Vettori? I said this in the matchmaking video. This should have been his return fight. Brendan Allen. These guys have beef with each other. They fought each other at a hotel or something. We need to run this one next. Moving down to lightweight and heavyweight. I only have 5 fights combined out of those 2, but lightweight, there's only 2 here. Magomed Ankalaev. Who does he fight next? Obviously Pereira. There's nothing to be said there, but I'm predicting that my boy Jan Blachowicz is going to come back and win this Saturday. What do we do to get a number 1 contender fight after these guys have fight? We do Yuri Prochazka, Jan Blachowicz. This would be a crazy non-title fight we can make in light heavyweight. Possibly one of the best ones in my opinion, depending on how Blachowicz looks. But I'm praying my boy looks great in this fight, but only time can tell. If he doesn't look that, you can switch him out with Carlos Ulberg, to be honest. But let's get into heavyweight. Heavyweight, obviously, title picture. We got Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall. Do I need to say anything? We need to see this fight. Hopefully, we see an announcement here in the next few months, but losing hope every single day. To get a number 1 contender fight, we can do Ciryl Gane, Jailton Almeida. Ciryl Gane needs to pay for what he did to Volkov, so he gets Jailton Almeida. Makes all the sense. This is one of the bigger fights you can make in a heavyweight. Again, non-title fight. Then, just in the lower rankings, Waldo Cortes Acosta, one of the bigger names, one of the more fan-friendly fighters so far in this heavyweight division. One of the bigger prospects we have at heavyweight right now. He called out Tai Tuivasa. Run this shit next. Let me know in the comments below. Did I miss any matchmaking? Would you matchmake anyone else a little bit differently? Let me know in the comments below. And for the women's division, I'm not doing that shit. I mean, I can quickly just look. I'll give you maybe like 1 to 2. Okay, women's strawweight division. I want to see... Fuck, I don't want to see anything here. Yeah, fuck it. I would be fine on seeing anything. Women's flyweight. I want to see Weili versus Shevchenko. I want to see, I wouldn't mind seeing Rose versus Grasso if Grasso loses her next fight. And then Pena. I think Pena is already scheduled for Kayla Harrison, but I want to see that. And yeah, that's about it. If those are the only fights I see in women's MMA this year, I'll die happy. With that being said, thank you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I will see you guys in my next video.